Evening, friends. God bless you. Let us continue our study on how to cast burden onto God, or how we can live burden free. And we are going to discuss particularly some practical aspect of it. And the verse we are studying is First Peter chapter 5, verse 7. It says, casting all your anxiety onto him. And the second half of that verse says that because he cares for you. So cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And we are going to study in deep. However, let me start saying that what is the opposite of anxiety? And you would say that opposite of anxiety is peace. And that is a true statement. When Jesus was sleeping in the boat and the boat was in the middle of storm, the waves are crashing and the winds are blowing, it is night, and still Jesus was able to sleep peacefully. And that is, Jesus is sleeping in peace. So there is a storm on one side, but in face of storm, Jesus was peacefully sleeping. For us, what happens when the anxiety creeps in our life? We lose our peace, we lose our joy, we lose our sleep. So to understand that casting all our anxiety, all our burden on God because he cares for you, we need to remember one thing first, is that we can cast our burden, we can cast our anxiety on Jesus because he cares for you. It doesn't say that because you are living a good life, because you are doing everything right, because you are a faultless. Bible doesn't say that. Bible says that you can cast your anxiety on God because he cares for you. His nature is love. God's nature is love. God's nature is to help. God's nature is to have a relationship. So when there is no condition here that because you are holy, because you are doing everything right, because you are righteous, because you are this and that, you can cast your burden. It says that you can cast your burden, you can cast your anxiety on Jesus because he cares for you. That we have to remember first. And when we started understanding that absence of anxiety, absence of burden is a peaceful life. So to understand that way, we have to read and go back to Philippians chapter 4, and we will read verse 8 and 9. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 and 9. And here it says, finally, brethren, Paul says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. So Paul lists about all the things. And then what he says that, think about these things. He gives the list in verse 8, and then he says that think about these things. But how you come to the point where you can think about all the things that Paul is listing in verse 8, Philippians chapter 4, 8? Because he gives the reason. Verse 9, those things which you have both learned and received and heard. Because all about these good things you have learned, about those things you have heard, and all these things you have received and you have seen in me, do, and the God of peace will be with you. So he's giving a solution, that you have heard about all these things, that you have heard about truth, you have heard about honest, you have heard about just, you have heard about the pure, you have heard about lovely things, you have heard about good report, you have heard about the virtue. All these things you have heard about it, you have learned about it, you have received it. Now do them. How you do that? He says, think. Think on these things. Think on these things, then you do. And then the peace of God will come to you. So when the peace of God will come to you, that means you have thrown away your anxiety, and that means you are living anxiety or burden free. So let us dissect this particular word. Paul lists that truth and honesty and just and loving things and good report. Think about those things. Paul first says that. So the Greek word for think here is logizomai. Logizomai is a very interesting word. Logizomai means to recon, to count, compute, calculate, count over. That means how you are using a calculator. You are taking count. You are remembering. You are doing it over and over again. You have to intentionally, you have to look for it. And how you can do that? The best place to look for all those things is Bible. So basically, think about those things, take account of those things. How you can do that? By reading a Bible, by reading the scripture, by meditating on God's words, by listening God's words. And then when you take account of these things, then the peace of God that you have learned now, what you have heard now, what you have received now, will produce that peace in you. So Jesus said, so let us took one thing at a time. First thing says that finally, brethren, Paul says, whatsoever things are true. So let us talk about true. What Paul is saying, whatever was true. So if you just think about just true in this verse, whatever things are true, think about that truth. Because you have heard about it, you have learned about it, and you have received about it. We'll take one thing at a time and we'll apply the same principle. Think about this particular item in the list, and then this thing you have heard, learned, and received. And that will bring you peace. So truth, let us talk about truth. Jesus said a very, very interesting thing. What he said, John 14:6, I am the way and the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father apart from me. Now Jesus said, I am the truth. So that means you have heard about truth. That means you have heard about Jesus. You have learned about Jesus. Now you think of what you heard about Jesus, what you learned about Jesus, and you receive about what you learned about Jesus. You receive Jesus. That will produce the peace. Now this is an interesting word about truth. Actually, in this particular verse 14, if you read in Greek, it is written like this: Anochai ha dorek vahemet wahechim waish lo yavo alhabilit aliadi. The word for truth in Greek is emet. Now, it is very interesting. Emet, if you wanted to spell emet, it carries the if you want to write this emet in Hebrew, then it uses the three Hebrew alphabet: Aleph, Mem, and Tau. Aleph, Tau. Aleph, Mem, Tau. Aleph is the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Mem is the middle letter of alphabet, and Tau is the last letter of alphabet. Aleph, Mem, Tau. That is emet. Jesus said, I am the truth. That Jesus said, I am emet. Now, this is interesting. If you remember, Jesus said, if you read Bible and Revelation, God says that I am Alpha and Omega. But if you, Alpha and Omega is the Greek alphabet. If you replace it with the Hebrew alphabet, it will, God is saying that I am Aleph Tau. I am Aleph Tau. That means I am, in our modern English, it says I am A to Z. So if you need a healing, because if you are sick, you are anxious, you lost your peace, right? So if you need healing, then I am Aleph Tau. I'm Alpha and Omega. You have your healing in me. If you are financially burdened, then you have lost your peace. You are anxious. You have lost your peace and joy. And Jesus said, I am Aleph. I am A to Z. In me, you will find everything. So whether you need a protection, whether you need a support, whether you need a healing, whatever you need is in Amet. Jesus said, I am the truth. I cover everything. Aleph, Mem, Tau. I am Aleph, Tau. I am encompassing everything that you need in me. Now, it is very interesting thing. If you just remove the first letter in the spelling of Aleph, Mem, Tau. So now if you just remove Aleph, what is left? Mem and Tau. And a Mem and Tau is pronounced Mat. And you know what the meaning of Mat is? Is a dead. Dead, completely dead, without life. So if you remove Aleph, that's a beginning, God who created the universe, God who start the life. If you remove the God out of it, what is left is a dead person. There is no joy, there is no peace, there is no hope, nothing. But when it's a dead person, Met, if you add Aleph, now Aleph, Mem, Tau, then it becomes a truth. And Jesus said, I am the truth. And Jesus is alive today. So when Paul says that whatever is truth, you have heard from me, you have learned from me, you have received from me, think about it. And when you think about it, then God's peace will come to you. That means without even your knowledge, you have taken out your anxiety and put on Jesus, and He will carry you. So first is you need to know the truth. What is truth? Read the script. And how you will find it? You will find through scriptures. So whenever the anxiety, the burden will bog you down, go to the scriptures. Start reading about Jesus. Start reading about His promises. Start reading about what He has done. Start reading about how powerful He is. Start reading about what He can do for you. Start reading about what He has done in other people's life. And learn and remember and meditate on it. And that thing will take care of removing your anxiety. Whenever you take a medicine, do you ever realize that what that medicine doing in your body? When you take a medicine, it digests it, and the ingredients from the medicine comes out. It goes in your bloodstream. It goes wherever it needs to go, and it does something inside. You never knew what is happening inside, but that medicine, the drugs you are taking it, is provide you healing from your sickness. In the same way, when you take the truth, when you take Jesus in you, something will happen that it will cast out your burden, it will cast out your anxiety, and it will bring you peace and joy. We'll continue our study on this, and we'll look tomorrow, the second part, what Paul is saying, that whatsoever truth we learn, we'll learn tomorrow whatsoever is honest. And we'll see how that honest can replace our anxiety and our fear from our life. God bless you, and thank you.